Hey everyone, and welcome to Geeksvana. Today we're going to be talking about the UK CAA and some important information we've just received from them. Last week the UK CAA launched a range of new advice and compliance documents, which of course we reported on. These documents included critical policy, guidance and compliance information which impacted every single recreational and commercial drone flight in the UK, and that you are expected to follow carefully. Before we start, if I can ask our regular audience, our regular viewers, to hit the like button nice and early, as it does help the video and channel a lot. You guys have been doing that recently, which I really do appreciate. If you're new here, then subscribe for future updates on this and many other drone related topics. Now, whilst preparing a range of update videos to explain to you, our audience, the key changes made by the CAA and how they impact your flights, I started to notice something was, well, a little off. When you take the existing live documents, all of which were released between the 2nd and 7th of December 2022, so a few days before this video was recorded, and compare the advice given by each one, we have more than a couple of significant contradictions. We're not talking about spelling errors or grammatical issues here, that happens in any document, but we are talking about significant issues such as one document excluding sub 250 gram privately built quads from the benefits that weight class enjoys at the moment, to another telling us you can use them. CAP 722 clearly states that privately built quads are excluded, whilst CAP 2012 states that they're allowed. Now, as these are permissions effectively from the CAA, their wording and the explanations within these documents are key. You also have some paragraphs within CAP 722 which contradict themselves, so literally tell us one thing which is directly contradicted a line or two later. Section 2.2.1 of CAP 722 discusses the open category, which is where your recreational flights take place. Two major points of contradiction here are firstly where flight over uninvolved people in the A1 subcategory are discussed. The text clearly explains that you can fly over people with a sub 500 gram drone if you hold an A2 CFC. It reads, A1 flyover people. Operations in subcategory A1 can be conducted within congested areas and may be carried out over uninvolved people, but not assemblies of people. Any overflight of people should be avoided if possible and kept to a minimum. These must be conducted with a UAS less than 250 grams if they do not comply with the class marking requirements if placed on the market before 1st of Jan 2026, and must not be privately built or legacy UA with a mass less than 500 grams, provided the pilot has completed an A2 CFC certificate only until the 1st of January 2026. So that is the guidance on flying over people in the relevant section of CAP 722. So you would now happily run off and fly your sub 500 gram drone like the DJI Avata or the Parrot Anafi over people with your A2 certificate. However, on the very next page, under transitional arrangements, it tells us specifically that UA less than 500 grams with an A2 CFC cannot be flown over people. The other documents, such as the AMC and CAP 2012, all agree on no overflight with sub 500 grams. So the official documents, which have just been updated, actually contradict on some fairly significant points. Next, we have confusion over flights of legacy drones in the A2 airspace by, again, holders of the A2 CFC. Here we do not need to even go to the next page for the contradictory advice to be given, as it's actually in the same paragraph. It's also the very next paragraph within CAP 722 discussing flying over people, the point that we just pointed out within the open category. It states, A2, fly close to people. Operations in subcategory A2 can be conducted near people with a minimum horizontal distance of 30 metres from uninvolved persons. This can be further reduced to 5 metres horizontally when the system's low speed mode is selected. The remote pilot must have successfully completed an additional competency exam, the A2 CFC. This seems fairly straightforward, doesn't it? If your drone has a slow mode and you hold an A2 certificate, then you can fly within 5 metres of uninvolved people. However, the very next line continues. The UAS must be a legacy UAS with a mass less than 2 kilograms, but not be flown closer than 50 metres horizontally to uninvolved people, only until the 1st of January 2026. So again, contradictions within an official guidance document. The AMC is not much clearer on the topic either. It again discusses the 30-metre separation and then discusses that non-class marked drones have a separation of 50 metres. What class markings? This has all been removed from the documents and the drone code, etc., with a law change coming into effect courtesy of the Department for Transport. The entire class marking system is up for review and has been removed from guidance. So why are we discussing it in this newly released document and creating confusion which a recreational level pilot is expected to understand and follow? Following discovery of these and several other issues, we reached out to the CAA and requested clarification of the contradictions themselves and comment on why they appear in recently updated documents. We received a reply from the CAA telling us that the drone team are currently collating the information and will get some specific responses soon. As an initial response, CAP 2012 is correct and CAP 722 section 2.2.1.2 will be adjusted. So confirmation there that CAP 722, released just a few days ago, about a week ago in fact, is actually incorrect. Presumably the other confusing and or incorrect sections within 722 and the new AMC document will also be adjusted or otherwise known as corrected. Clearly, what has happened here is the decision to remove the C labelling system and extend the transitional period has created problems when updating the official documents, so they no longer read correctly, make total sense and even contradict information given previously in the same paragraph. So it appears that we will be getting another edition of CAP 722 very soon, and if my reading of the AMC is correct, potentially an adoption of a revised version of that as well. I will of course keep you fully informed as and when we get any updates on that, as well as explaining how they impact your drone flight. I have some thoughts on this situation which I feel are important to get on the record. Now, my thoughts are not a sensational reaction or a rant, so please take them in the totality I'm about to explain. I've always tried to support the work the CAA are doing in the UK. A safe and well-informed hobby and industry is something most people want to see. Certainly clear and robust guidance on how to fly our drones within UK legislation is what the CAA are there for, and to be fair, my interactions with the drone team at the CAA have always been very straightforward, open and transparent. I do have a lot of sympathy for the situation they are working within. The UK has gone through a busy couple of years in terms of legislation, with Brexit and a rather sudden change of heart to leave EASA. More recently, the DFT decision to close C-class drone loopholes has created a lot of friction too. On top of that, the CAA have then looked to review things again to see if the previously adopted EU rules can be altered to suit the UK better, something which I support certainly in ethos and at a theoretical level at least. That is where I think the issue with the errors has come from. Adopting and altering documentation to show changes in legislation and guidance over a relatively short period of time is not straightforward, and I think a large part of the issue is where text has not been altered correctly to ensure the flow and the context of the sections are not lost. However, that is the very role of the airspace regulator, to provide clear guidance and compliance means to ensure above all else the safety of our skies. How is it that issues in the documentation can be spotted within minutes by a YouTuber, but somehow made it through whatever internal process is in place to approve documentation at the CAA? How is that possible? We have all known about the transitional period ending and the fact that we have no usable C labels available to manufacturers for many months. So why is it that these releases from the CAA feel rushed and are littered with errors? I understand that they have their hands tied in terms of receiving instructions from the DFT, but this doesn't help the average drone pilot. I applaud the quick reaction Geeksvana has received to the issues that we have raised, and it is great that the CAA are listening and making the changes required. However, how we found ourselves in this situation in the first place is less clear. We have had some controversial updates to the CAA compliance in terms of areas such as visual line of sight, which, if followed to the letter of the guidance, leaves sub 250 gram drones being able to be flown within about 100 metres. I have another video specifically on that topic and how you can survive the VLOS rules coming very soon, so keep an eye out on the channel for that. The overall problem here is confidence. At some point, the CAA risks losing the confidence of the key drone stakeholders. Issuing guidance which many disagree with is one thing, but releasing documents which are intended to be followed by the regulated community with such glaring issues is something entirely different. Surely, we should be expecting far more robust and accurate releases. As it stands today, and at the time of recording this video, for the past week we have published guidance which creates significant confusion. How therefore would the CAA intend to rely on any of the guidance material in court or in terms of enforcement? Also, where is the communication with the drone flying community in terms of being aware of the errors and the intention to fix them? We should be seeing some official communication coming from the CAA to inform everybody of the problems and the intended solutions. As the main issues seem to be within the current edition of CAP 722, should this be withdrawn until a newly peer-reviewed edition is available? I suppose that depends on how long the changes will take. These changes need to be made quickly to update the current releases, and we need to see them happen correctly. 2023 is going to be a big year for uncrewed aviation, with many advances in BVLOS and AAM expected to move forward in terms of legislation. We need to get ourselves to a position of a firm foundation to build on, and we need to bring along the regulated community with it. That means we need to have confidence in the documents being released and confidence in the flights we take each and every day. So my main message here to the CAA is a plea to get this done quickly and correctly, whilst ensuring you're engaging with the drone community in terms of what is actually happening. It concerns me that we should find ourselves in this situation just days after a major refresh of the official guidance documentation, but swift, precise action will hopefully get us back on track. Now, if you're new here, subscribe. And here is a video that YouTube thinks you might want to watch next. Were they right? Sean out.